Take us away, Emily.
Right.
Okay, no, I didn't digest that.
Are you sure that that microphone's on? Because I'm only hearing little bips and pops of your prelude.
Seemed like we had plenty of time to try some others.
We're not hearing the prelude on Zoom. Thank you. Um,
I hope they're here all sexually.
yeah. Um,
That was so wonderful, Emily, and it's so wonderful to have you here in person.
yeah, if only we could have heard it on Zoom.
What?
We didn't hear the prelude at all. We heard maybe 5 notes.
Okay. So what can we?
I think the mic on the that's on the piano is somehow turned off because it's not picking up anything, or it's turned down or something. Because we heard all of 5 notes.
One moment, please. We're not sure what's going on. We'll test it with the hymn.
Okay.
Yeah. So, good morning, and all our wonderful mixed up wonder. We're glad you're here. Today we gather in a spirit of freedom and fellowship. Whoever you are, whatever your beliefs, whomever you love, and whatever your age, you're welcome here. As we work together for justice, compassion, and peace, we acknowledge with humility that our buildings sit on land originally part of the Monacan Nation. I'm Terre Bailiff. I'm the professional minister of this congregation, but I share the ministry with all of our members and friends. If you're with us for the first time, we're so glad you chose to be here this morning to participate in the service in our congregation that we love. We would be happy to tell you more about our community during our in-person and virtual social time following the service. If you'd like to receive our monthly newsletter and Friday email updates, please fill out either the virtual visitor card on the website, or visitor card that's in the pocket of the chair in front of you, and you can just put that in the offering basket. You may also want to join our Facebook group. Please see the insert of your bulletin or the Friday e-news to see some of the classes that we're offering this fall and some of the announcements. This morning we offer a special welcome to Kelly Diaz, who will be our Generosity Sunday speaker. She's on staff with CASA, which is the court-appointed special advocate. And even when Kelly goes back to work, Brianna can recruit you to be a CASA volunteer. And our young adults are meeting Tuesday at 7 o'clock in Unitarian House. After the service, we're planning to go to La Coretta in Madison Heights. We're hoping it won't be raining after the service. They have a big patio, and also after we eat, if some of our young people want to play in River Edge Park, that's close by. So now I invite us to just release our worries and concerns about the world and just take a few deep breaths to ground and center us in this sacred space. As we enter into our time of worship, we light the flame of our chalice, sharing these words. May the light we now kindle inspire us to use our power to heal, to help and not to hinder, to bless and not to curse, serve you, O Spirit of life. So today we're gathering because in some ways it feels like there's this new spark, even though many of us have been back at work and in school perhaps. This feels like a new beginning, sort of maybe before COVID. And so today, for our in-gathering, we particularly are so happy that you're here, and I reinforce, whoever you are and whatever brings you here this morning, you are welcome here. In September this month, we're going to focus on belonging. I've been brainstorming a lot about that whole concept the last few weeks, and it's really interesting to find the ways in which that whole concept has taken me into new avenues of thinking. This morning, as we hold so much in our community and in our service, as we weave together a number of celebrations, we want to consider who we are and where we belong after a summer of swirling around. Belonging for us today includes welcoming a new staff member, welcoming those who have been away over the summer, welcoming a beloved family who get to be here in person finally, welcoming our beloved Emily back to play in person. We were talking before the service. I mean, I was so confused. I was like, where are the links to the music for tomorrow? It's like, oh yeah, Emily's going to be there in person. Belonging means seeing old friends and new across the sanctuary and on Zoom, realizing this is our community. Perhaps you came this morning with a hope for a place to belong, hoping that this will be a place where you can feel safe. It's also a profound reality that today is a day of remembrance of a tragic event that reshaped our nation. Even so, as we remember, if we're old enough, where we were, what we were doing that day, we need to acknowledge that while the communal September 11th trauma brought most of our nation together, it also caused fear and harassment for many Americans. From that day, many patriotic Muslim Americans, or those who people thought looked Muslim, have lived in fear and harassment, no longer feeling that they belong to our country. With trust that each of us believes that we belong here, I reaffirm that no matter your age or what you believe, whoever you love, you are welcome here. You're welcome here within this imperfect and loving community where every one of us is learning more about what it means to be a more loving person and what it means to be a more loving community. In that spirit of love and friendship, I invite us to share our mission statement that was created and affirmed by this community of faith. It's printed in the bulletin and I think on the chat. So let us share this together. As a loving, vibrant, and inclusive community, we celebrate the dignity of all living things and nurture lifelong spiritual and ethical growth. Encouraging compassion for all, we protect the vitality of our natural world and act for justice, equity, and peace in the world. We live love in the world. Gathered in this commitment, let us rise in body or spirit to share hymn number 347, Gather the Spirit. Seated. I would like to invite all our young people who are in the service to come forward to join me. And this is the first time I've been able to say that since COVID. So, okay, come on up here, Beth. Come on up here, Abe. Come on, Zana, Theo, Hugh. Come on up here. Oh, Nora, we can't forget you. You need to come sit right next to me. Have a seat. And I need to invite you to come sit with me, unless you want a real chair.
No, this is quite fine.
Okay. Now then, today I'm going to need your help, both you and our young people who are online. The reason I need your help is we now have our very first director of lifespan education. It's Courtney. Most of you know her as Nora's mom and Kim's wife. But now she has more jobs. Yay! Yay! She's still going to be Nora's mom, right, Nora? Forever and ever. Now she's also going to be the person who helps create classes and helps you create multi-generational services. And she's still a member of the congregation. That's a lot to have to do for one person. All of these things are important. So let's think of a little bit about what she has to balance. Well, I think she's going to need at least 3 hats. That's a lot of hats to wear at one time. How many of y'all read the book when you were little about the man who sold all the hats and he had yes! So many times. And I always wondered, how did he balance all those hats on his head? Did you ever wonder that?
Yeah, and he even had he organized them with colors.
Yeah, that would be too complicated for me. I'd be good to get along with 1 hat. But I want us to talk about some of these hats that we're going to have to help Courtney balance. So one of them, and the first and most important, is that Courtney will always be Nora's mom. So Nora actually made this crown or hat for Courtney to wear. That is really beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool.
It is.
Yeah.
It's got some glitter on it.
Yeah. And this morning, I think, Nora, did you put extra glitter on it this morning? You can never have too much glitter unless it's on the floor. Then it's all too much glitter.
I actually have a really pretty shirt and skirt covered in feathers.
That is so cool. That's so cool. I always thought it wasn't fair that all the red glitter slippers were only for girls. I wanted them for grown-ups. And I think boys need them too.
But the problem is the place I got it from, it only gives kids clothes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I wouldn't fit in those. So, okay, there's another hat that she needs to wear. And this is her hard-working staff hat. And she has to wear that hat a lot of hours a week. But there's another hat that she needs to wear, and we need to remember when it's time for her to wear that hat. This is the being herself a member of the congregation and enjoying playing. Wow, I'm really impressed. I'm not sure I could have balanced all of that so well.
I look like a witch.
It has the sparkles and the sequins. I like how it's designed to be like peacock feathers.
Yeah, so cool.
That likes my hat because it looks like peacock feathers.
That's right.
You have to remember zooming in here.
I'm sorry, I forgot that. So sorry, folks on Zoom, that I forgot about the microphone. So there are lots of other things in addition to hats that Courtney is going to need. So what do you think in her job as our director of lifespan education that might be important for her as she goes about her job? Well, one thing I thought of is she needs listening ears to listen to what you want to need. Yes, Beth.
I think that she probably needs her eyes so she can see what's going on around her, so she knows, so to help her with knowing what she needs to do.
That is perfect. Definitely she needs that. Abe?
I think she needs her ears to like hear everybody, because if she can't hear everybody, she can't like know what people are saying.
That's
so
right.
people need to know what like they're doing.
That's right.
I think that she needs also her nose, because if there is a fire, she can tell, so she can get everybody safe.
Very good. And you know what? Safety is one thing that we really think is important here. It's very important to all of us. Safety for our grown-ups, but especially for y'all. Nora.
I think she needs her mouth so she can taste.
She needs a mouth so I can taste.
Oh, okay. That's very important. Yes, Abe.
I think she needs a brain so she can like know what's going on, and she has to like focus a lot.
Yeah.
Because she's a director, and that's a big part of the job. You have to make sure everybody is safe, which is important, very important.
Yeah. Beth?
I think she needs her mind, so like when she hears everybody, she can think what she needs to do to solve their needs and what they need.
Thank you. And you know, okay, Nora?
I think she needs her touch so she can feel my soft cuddles.
Touch so I can feel soft cuddles.
Absolutely. And you know what? That connects with one more thing I think she needs, and she already has. And that's an open, loving heart, so that she can help all of us grow and learn. And so all these things are important, and to really make a strong statement about how important she is, we're actually going to have a little ritual, which is like signing a contract or something, saying publicly that we claim her and she claims us. And I'd like our president, Steph, to come up and join us. Oh, yes. Steph told us the last important thing. All she needs is courage to work with this motley crew. Uh-huh. She has to be thankful, yes. That's very important. So, let us now have a ritual to install Courtney as our DLE. And I will remind you when one of my best friends, David, preached at my installation in Clemson, he said, remember, she's not an appliance. We need to take good care of her. So we're going to take good care of you.
Appreciate that.
So today we celebrate the thoughtful process through which we selected Courtney Sinha to be our first Director of Lifespan Education. We're grateful for her deepening commitment to our learners of all ages and to the life of our congregation. Moving from being a member of the congregation to being staff, who is also a member of the congregation, can be complex. I trust that we will all be respectful as we learn to honor Courtney's time and commitment as staff, member, wife, and mom. Will you, as members and friends of this congregation, support Courtney as she grows with us? Will you share your vision for religious education with her? Will you join her in working to bring these visions to life? Will you actively contribute, your talent, your wisdom, and your presence to enrich this congregation's lifespan education program? In affirmation of these commitments, will you please say together with me, we will. We will. Thank you. Now, I want to ask you and our young people on Zoom, will you officially welcome Courtney as our Director of Lifespan Education? She will need your help and ideas as we learn and have fun together. Will you help Courtney by being here for your classes and activities, either in person or on Zoom? Will you help her by being kind, by listening and sharing your ideas? Will you be friends with and welcome new young people who may come to church and to your class so that they feel comfortable and they can find you as new friends? If you will do this, can you say, we will?
We will.
Will.
Thank you.
And Courtney, are you prepared to formally accept the responsibility of the education ministry you offer to our congregation for our children, youth, and adults?
Yes, I am. I bring enthusiasm and passion to this work of my heart. I will seek to fulfill the vision of religious education we developed together. I will make mistakes because the always safe and easy road does not lead to growth. I will work with our volunteers to create meaningful programs to educate the heart, mind, and spirit. I promise to grow with you, to listen to you, and to respect you as we travel together on the many paths of our spiritual journey. Together, let us strive to practice what we teach and to live out the principles and ethics of our Unitarian Universalist faith.
Reaching inward, let us discover in ourselves the way of love in our lives. Reaching outward, may we work together to create a more just and peaceful world where all voices are heard, all spiritual paths treasured, and all carry love within. Blessed be. So welcome, Courtney, in this new role. We are here to help and support you.
Thank you.
And let's give her a hand as and y'all can go back to your seats right now, because in a few minutes, Courtney has, you can go back to your, yeah. Because Courtney's going to have a fun story in just a few minutes. This Sunday is our Generosity Sunday, and I'm so happy that Kelly Diaz could be with us this morning to share some information about CASA. Thank you for being here.
I always love to come somewhere and see faces that I recognize, and Joanne is one of my favorite gals in the ICU on there, so happy to see you, and of course, Brianna. So my name is Kelly Diaz, and I am the Recruitment and Development Director at CASA of Central Virginia. CASA stands for Court Appointed Special Advocates, and I'm sure that you all know a bit about it because of this wonderful lady right here. I wish that we could clone her and have about 20 more of her, because she does such a dynamic job at advocating for children. But I'm going to start by telling you a story. It's difficult in this role. Brianna and I were just talking about this because we have to exercise confidentiality. So telling our stories are not always easy, but this is a story that we do have permission to tell. So it is one that is very powerful and just shows the difference that our CASA volunteers make. So there was a mom and a son. Her name was Ashby. His name was Maddox. And this was about 5 years ago. She was a single mom who was addicted to heroin. She was found in the Walgreens parking lot, overdosed, with her 3-year-old son in the back seat. So, of course, CPS was called and her child was removed from her custody. At that time, he went into foster care and he was assigned a CASA volunteer, like Brianna. He was assigned a gentleman named Darnell, who also serves in Bedford County, like Brianna does. And Darnell did what our CASA volunteers do. He visited with Maddox. Maddox would get extremely excited when he would see Darnell's red truck pull up. He visited with him at least twice a month. He got to know his mom, Ashby. He got to know his foster parents. He got to know his family, anyone involved in this case, the guardian ad litem, the DSS workers, everybody important and essential to this case, he got information from. He took that information and he put it into a court report, and he was able to present that to the judge before every hearing to say, this is what I found out. These are the facts. These are my recommendations. And he was able to advocate for Maddox's best interest through that court report. He went to the court hearings. He went to visitation. And at those visitations, and as he got to know Maddox's mom, he saw a mom who loved her son, but had gotten caught up in drugs. He was able to advocate and to watch Ashby do every single thing the judge had her do, and he had her do a lot. So she had to do parenting classes, drug classes. She would be drug tested very often. And over the course of quite a long time, she was able to reunite with her son. We love it when that's able to happen. We love to see reunification of families, but we also know that that's not always safe and possible. So other things that we see are relatives being able to take that child into their care. We are able to see adoptions through foster parents or others be able to take on that role as a parent, and we value each of those. And so we're so happy that now Maddox is at home. I was able to meet him for the first time a couple of months ago. He came into my office and told me I looked like I needed a hug, and so he gave me one. So that was lovely. But as I looked at him, I just thought, you know, this lively boy who's now 8 years old suffered a lot of trauma because of what he went through. And I was so thankful to see his mom, to see him together. She's now married, he has siblings, and they're all doing really well. But I thought about, like, what would have happened if he didn't have Darnell? What would have happened if he didn't have that CASA volunteer? And so a few of the things that we know about children that have CASA volunteers are that they're 50% less likely to re-enter the foster care system, which is huge. We know that they do better in school. We know that most of them move on to actually finish high school, which is wonderful. And we know that they spend an average of 8 months less in foster care than children who do not have a CASA volunteer. So right now in the greater Lynchburg community, we have 71 children who need a CASA volunteer, and we don't have enough volunteers to give them. That is a huge burden for us. It's why we work tirelessly to be able to provide them with one, because we do know the difference it makes. A lot of people say, I don't know how you could do this. I don't know how you could handle this. This is too hard. I couldn't do it. And I remember Brianna, I remember what she said to me, and I share it in almost every information session that I do. She said that when people say that to her, she says to them, what the children go through is hard. If I can be with them along the way to make it a little easier, then that's what I'll do. And that was like so impactful to me, because I think that that's so true. What they are going through is hard, because not only are they removed from their home and what they've known, but a lot of times they are moved from foster home to foster home to foster home. Every time they're moved foster homes, it might mean a new school, new foster parents, a new bed, new friends. Everything is new. But the one thing that always stays the same is their CASA volunteer. That is the consistent figure in their life. And it's just so important. I have worked at a couple of different nonprofits throughout my life, and this is my favorite job I've ever had. I'm super passionate about it. I believe in what we do because I am able to see the difference in lives that are made. Brianna, I'm sure, has shared about the recent journey she's been on. Well, it's been a long journey, but just, it's just, she's very inspiring. And like I said, I wish we had a lot more of her, but I would love to, for her to say, what about CASA do you love, and what is the hardest part of it for you? Because we don't ever sugarcoat this role, because we know it's hard. We know that it's difficult. This is one of shockingly, there's 27 CASA programs, and CASA of Central Virginia is in the top 3 largest in the state of Virginia with the need. And so that was very surreal to me. So, it shows that we have a great need, shows that we are meeting that need pretty well, but we can always use more volunteers. But Brianna, if you can share, what do you love the most about it? What is the hardest part for you?
Well, of course, the children's that's what I love the most about it. When I retired from teaching, there was a hole because I wanted to be with the kids. And it is hard work. It is the hardest work I've ever done, ever. But it is also the most rewarding work I've ever done. And like Kelly said, what my thought was, the kids are doing the really hard work. They're the ones that are suffering. They have been abused or tortured or starved or whatever has happened. So it's not hard. It's hard to hear it, but it's wonderful to be able to give the judge an independent perspective, because we're not paid, we're not DSS, that they have a particular point of view. The guardian ad litem has his or her point of view, and mine is totally independent as a CASA volunteer. And there's a great need, and Unitarians would be awesome at this job, because we have more and more, I guess you would say, we're finding more and more diverse children that need representation, and some people aren't comfortable representing diverse populations. And the Unitarians are open-minded, and we would be awesome at this job. So if you have any interest in doing it, it is to tell you a joy, the journey I've been on for 7 years with this young man. On August 25th, he was adopted. Yesterday, he turned 18, and he had to fill out a medical form. And he said, I hope it's all right, but I put you down as my grandma. So anyway, that is just the connections that you make with the kids. And one time he told me, I picked him up at a residential facility on his birthday, and he says, "Why are you here?" And I got to hold on to you for a minute. My knee is not. I said, "It's your birthday." And he looked at me and he said, "Well, Miss Brianna, I think you're the only one in the whole world that knows today is my birthday." And that was true. Nobody else remembered it. So you make a huge impact. This is a wonderful organization. They do a great job. The training is intense, and we need more people, and we need the support to keep the program going. So if you're still inclined to explore being a volunteer, I highly recommend it. Sure.
Yes, and there are 4 ways that you can help CASA. Sorry, I'm almost done. So one is, like we were talking about, being a volunteer. A lot of times people don't have the time availability to give to that. At certain stages in their life, we say it takes about 3 to 5 hours per week. Another way that you can help is there's a new program called CASA Sidekicks, which is a 1-hour commitment each month. Different things like helping with events, helping with mailings, things like that. Another way is to participate in our events. We have a golf tournament coming up in September, which is my favorite. I love golf. We have a gala in April. We have Child Abuse Prevention Month, and we also have our superhero run. And then the last way, obviously, is to give. Like Brianna said, all our funds are used to recruit more volunteers, which is the heartbeat of our mission. If we don't have volunteers, we cannot do what we need to do for these children. So I have folders, if you're interested in learning more, that I will leave, and you are welcome to get. And if you have any questions, please contact me or Brianna. And I thank you so much for letting me speak here today.
Thank you, Kelly, for being here, and thank you, Brianna, for your commitment. And it might be during our social time that right after the service that people might have some questions too. The ministries of our congregation and the ministries of those who work for the charities we support, like CASA, are all supported by our financial donations as well as our time and other means of support. So today, if you have found this congregation to be of meaning in your life, or if you would like to make a donation to CASA, if your money's going to CASA, please put a note in your memo, or if you're doing PayPal, please put it in the PayPal menu. Then we invite you to give generously to make this congregation and CASA possible. Every week we share important events in our personal lives and traditionally, there's always water involved in gathering services, and many congregations for years, including this one, have brought water from different places that folks have traveled. And yet this year, we want to honor our connection with water. I mean, our bodies have the same percentage of water that there is water on Mother Earth. We are inextricably tied to the water that flows through all life. I think over the summer, we may have traveled to see water in places that we love. But for many of us, or I'm speaking for myself, I watch lots of news sources about water that's disappearing, people who are hungry and thirsty, droughts. So this morning, I invite us, as we're so moved, to come forward to share our name and also the name of a body of water, a rivulet, the spigot in our backyard that we want to honor as part of our flow of life into the unity of life. So I will begin this, and when people in the sanctuary have finished, then folks on Zoom, if you'd like to have some water added, you can raise your hand and hopefully I'll see it, and we'll pour some in for you. I'm adding water for Lake Chad. I've never been to Chad. I'm not sure that's on my bucket list, but I do know that several countries in Africa derive their water from Lake Chad that's shrunk by like 2/3 now. And I just hold in my heart all the people who lack fresh water in that area of Africa. Are there others who would like to remember some water? John? Okay.
Not working. Many of you may know, Trudy and I took a vacation out to the West this summer, Colorado and Wyoming. One of the things that brought back there is that, talking about water, these great fields of wheat and grazing land, it's all managed by snowmelt runoff. And we couldn't help but every place we went and visited up in the mountains, you would see these massive in the scope of them, water diversion projects moving water from the mountains out to the plains. And knowing that the snowfall in these years is getting reduced, you're looking at a whole set of areas that are going to have to figure out how to live with less water.
You brought some real water.
I did, and actually the water that I brought is from our rain gauge. And it is with gratitude that we actually live in a place that is neither experiencing devastating floods or drought, for which I'm very grateful. Certainly we've had some downpours that are really hard on gravel driveways or sand runouts. But in comparison with a great deal of the rest of the world, we are extremely fortunate, for which I'm grateful.
Our water comes from Miller Park Pool, where we spent many happy hours as a family this summer. And it gives us a real sense of belonging. It fits well with this theme because So many of our friends and loved ones, our chosen family, spent time there with us. So we really formed deeper connections this summer. And I love Miller Park Pool because it is the perfect microcosm of our wider community. Everybody swims there, and you make friends from all over the city. And it's just a really lovely, happy place.
Dick,
I wanted to talk about two places where clean water is a concern. There was a river, and I don't remember the name of it, by Cleveland, Ohio, and at one time it had so much oil and stuff on it that it actually caught fire. That river has been cleaned up now, and it had the fish and whatnot. Life has come back. That's a wonderful thing. But I'm also concerned about that there's a huge area out in the Pacific that is just covered with tons and tons of plastic, a huge area that, and it can kill fish, and it can, I think people are coming up with ways to clean that up. I certainly hope so. It's a terrible thing.
so we give thanks for rivers that have been cleaned up and sadness over the state of our oceans.
I believe that was the Cuyahoga River that Dick was talking about.
The Cuyahoga River, yeah.
So I would actually like
Yes.
you to not pour
Okay.
for me. I went to Denver to visit family this summer. And again, the South and the drought, and Colorado's never really had any water, which is sort of why not pour.
Uh-huh.
But this is for Cherry Creek Reservoir, which is down by about 40%. And that's where Aurora gets most of its water from. And again, it's from snowpack and the Cherry Creek that comes in.
Wow, thank you. Hello, Abe. Would you like to pour that water in there?
It comes from Michigan, the Lake Michigan.
Yep, from the Lake Michigan watershed. So for most of us in this family, the James River has been our main supply of water for most of our lives, but the past few years, it's been the Lake Michigan watershed.
How neat. Thank y'all for bringing that. Are there other days?
There's a geologic term called subsidence, where the surface sinks and collapses because there is no water to hold up the root. It's part of Florida's problems with sinkholes, but the big one, according to NOAA, the National Oceanographic and Aeronautical Administration, 40 to 45% of all fruit, nuts, and vegetables that we consume in the lower 48, America, comes from one state, the Central Valley of California. It's undergoing subsidence. There is no more water, literally. The water that is available cannot be reached, and if you could, nobody could afford to drill that deep. Little things. All of us. I collect rainwater as a gardener. Rarely do I have to use my hoses, unless my neighbors come over to irritate me. Little things in my home. Now I live alone. I don't want to weird you out.
Do we need to say anything?
My water closet gets flushed once a day.
This is.
You all get that. That alone saves enormous amounts of water. 20,000 plus gallons a year, I calculated, just for me being one person. When I shave, when I brush my teeth, the water doesn't run. I only turn it on when I have to. No swishing. My water stays off. Even in my kitchen, my use, I've been able to cut it by 80% without cramping my own style of living. There are countless ways of saving water. The extreme downside of this, I'm hopeful and optimistic by nature, not a doomsayer, but we are on the cusp globally somewhere. War is going to be fought over water. And it's something to think about. Save water.
Thank you, Dave.
I would like to symbolize pouring water from North Bay, Lake Michigan, where our family has its roots in many celebrations and healing. It's where we have memorials for people that have passed. It's where my husband and I got married, and where we had received a phone call that our son was being born. So it's just somewhere we get to go every summer and have healing time as a family. We are part of the earth. We have water flowing through us, and it connects us to the sacred unity of all. And there's a little Sufi story that I'd like to invite Courtney to share. And I know we're going over a little bit, but we had so much to celebrate today, and this is a fun story. So if our young people want to come up and share this story with Courtney, that would be fun. Nora, do you want to come up?
This is a Sufi story from long ago called The Little Stream Called to the Sea. The version was put together by the Reverend Paul Beadle. Once there was a little stream that dreamed of flowing to the sea. The stream started in an aquifer, a huge pool of water underground, but the call of the ocean was so strong that the stream pushed its way through nooks and cracks, up through the earth until it burst forth into the air and began its journey toward the sea. As its waters bubbled to the surface, they ran down the hill, carving the stream bed into the earth. Sometimes the stream babbled as it traveled, sometimes it gurgled, sometimes it roared. At times, the stream traveled alone. Its waters were so clear you could see the pebbles that lined its bed. At other times, the stream ran through great lakes or tumbled over a cliff or joined other streams to form a river and then split again to travel alone. But always, always, the little stream yearned to flow into the sea. Sometimes the stream would run fast and deep, eager to reach the sea. Fish swam in its waters as it carried them swiftly on its journey. Sometimes the stream would grow wide and slow, and it would carry boats on its back as it continued its journey. But always, always, the little stream yearned to flow into the sea. One day, just as the call of the ocean seemed to grow a bit stronger, the stream found itself growing sluggish. Its waters grew thick with mud until sadly it pulled into a brackish mud hole right on the edge of the desert. Woe is me, thought the little stream. Now I'll never get to the sea. It tried going around the desert, but the desert was too wide. It tried going under the desert, but the desert was too deep. Still, even with mud in its ears, the little stream heard the call of the ocean and yearned to flow to the sea. After what seemed like a long time, as the stream just pooled there in the sun, it began to hear a second voice. I can take you to the sea, little stream, whispered the wind. Come with me. I'll carry you to the ocean shore. How could you do that? Scoffed the stream. You are only made of air. I can carry you on a breeze, whispered the wind. But you must be very brave, for you must let go of yourself and change. I've changed many times, said the stream. But this time will be different, said the wind. The little stream paused, but deep within, the stream still yearned for the sea. The stream let go, and the wind picked it up particle by particle. At first, the stream was scared, for it felt lost. It was no longer a stream, but was turned sort of inside out and had become moisture swirling in the sky. The view was like nothing the little stream had ever seen before. Not only was the whole world laid out below it, but it was surrounded by sparkling jewels. Then, what had been the stream realized that all those sparkling jewels were parts of itself. Molecules of water, droplets of moisture, sparkling in the light. What had been the stream realized that it was truly beautiful on the inside. Next, the stream turned moisture saw that it was not alone, for the wind had whispered to other streams and ponds, and even to the morning dew upon the oasis. All had turned into moisture, and all their parts were also sparkling in the sun. Together, they were even more beautiful, for the sunlight had changed them into all the colors of a rainbow. Then the little stream turned rainbow felt itself falling and falling and falling. All the other droplets were falling too, until plop, plop, plop. All the droplets ran together into a mighty river, which rushed down the mountainside, across a coastal plain, and into the sea, where the waves pushed it back and pulled it forward, and the currents carried it far out into the pulsing depths. The little stream was content. But I understand that every now and then the wind would breeze by, whispering to the currents in the sea, come with me, come with me. And the moisture would rise up into the wind and be carried away to start all over again.
Thank you, Courtney, for that story. And, you know, one of the things that that reminds me of is all the different things that happen in our lives. Some of them are really great, like we're streaming, we're running down the mountainside, but then they're like hard times when we feel like we're stuck in a desert. And what we really want is to keep flowing and have new and exciting things happen, because we all are longing for friendship and community. And the water inside us reminds us that we're like that little rivulet. So I thank y'all for being here today. And if you'd like to go back to your seats as we rise in body or spirit to sing our closing hymn, number 300. As our service ends, we extinguish our chalice with these words. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Haley Rice wrote this lovely benediction. It's entitled, All Rivers Run to the Sea. It starts with a drop, then a trickle, a burble, a rush of water bubbling towards its destination, and finally the wide, endless sea. All rivers run to the sea. Today, we poured into a common bowl. Though our experiences have differed, these waters mingle, signifying our common humanity. Today, you came and shared in this sacred community. May you depart this sacred space, hearts filled with hope for new beginnings, a fresh start. Go forth, but return to this community where rivers of tears may be shed, where dry souls are watered, where your joy bubbles, where your life cup overflows, where deep in your spirit you have found in this place a home. Blessed be. Thank you for being here. And I'm wondering if there are any thoughts or comments